Welcome to Real World AIP, the YouTube channel dedicated to helping you implement the Autoimmune Protocol. And you might also find it useful if you're into whole foods, clean eating, things like that. I'm Stacey, and today I'm making minestrone. According to Wikipedia, minestrone is a thick soup of Italian origin made with vegetables, often with the addition of pasta or rice, sometimes both. Common ingredients include beans, onions, celery, carrot stock, and tomatoes. So in my AIP compliant version, I am going to use beans, rice, and pasta. I'm just making it out of compliant ingredients. Let's make the beans first. To make the beans, I took 6 ounces of white sweet potato and 6 ounces of raw green plantain. I pureed them together with like maybe a teaspoon or 2 of olive oil, a little bit of salt. I found these cute molds on Amazon. So I spread the mixture into the bowls, popped them into the Instant Pot, and put that in there for about 15 minutes. When I took them out, I realized, whoops, you should stack them, you know, not all on top of each other. I was able to salvage the beans though. So basically you cannot get them out when they're hot. Stick those in the fridge overnight, revisit them in the morning. They're gonna pop right out of the tray. You're gonna have these adorable little beans. I know the mold is coffee beans, but you know, in the soup they're gonna look just like beans, like cannellini beans. If you don't have both white sweet potato and plantain, it's fine to use just the plantain or raw green banana. It's just gonna have a slightly firmer texture. Next, to make the pasta, I just took the raw green plantain and I pureed it up with a touch of olive oil and some salt. I didn't actually measure it, but if you want to measure, I'd say, you know, go ahead and use 8 ounces of raw green plantain and throw in a half tablespoon of olive oil and a half teaspoon of salt. Puree that up, spread it all on a piece of parchment paper, fold it in quarters so it'll fit in your Instant Pot, and put it on the rack with about a cup of water underneath on the bottom of the pot. 15 minutes. Boom. Take it out, refrigerate it for a few hours. It needs to be cold. Now it'll peel right off of the parchment paper, and you can slice it into fancy shapes if you want, or you could just use a knife and just slice it into squares. This is the closest I could get to, I mean, usually in minestrone they'll put little shells or something like that. Well, these are little squares. They're going to do the same thing for the soup. All right, now the easiest version of a starch to throw in there would be the plantain rice. I've made it differently in the past, but for soup, this is the easy way. You take raw green plantain, and you can do this with raw green banana too. And you just shred it. You can use your food processor, you could use a cheese grater, and you can just use that raw rice right in the soup. Super simple. Now for the base, normally in a minestrone recipe you'd be using crushed tomatoes. So instead I'm going to be using papaya. This is 20 ounces or like 1.25 pounds. Not overripe, but just barely, you know, just ripe papaya, fresh papaya. I peeled it, took the seeds out, and I cut it into squares. I'm going to turn this into something similar to a can of crushed tomatoes by adding balsamic vinegar and just kind of mashing it up. I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of the balsamic on there. Now I just want to get in here and make this into like a crushed tomato, a canned crushed tomato. You could use a potato masher too, which would be a little bit more efficient. Voila, your canned crushed tomatoes. To start, I'm just going to put 2 tablespoons of good quality olive oil on the bottom of the pot. This is 1 chopped red onion. You could use regular onion, yellow onion, any kind of onion, like a medium-sized one. This is 3 carrots. And a couple stalks of celery. I'm also going to add just a little bit of salt to that. Maybe half teaspoon. And my secret ingredient, this is tamarind paste. I'm going to put a link below to where you can pick it up. And it comes in a package. It looks like this. And it makes things taste like they have tomato in them. I'm using 2 tablespoons. So I'm gonna use a spatula just for you. If these start to brown a little too much, just put some vegetable broth in there. I mean, a little bit of that brown stuff is good, but too much it starts to turn black and burned, you know? So now my onions are soft, and now I'm going to add 2 cups of seasonal vegetables. So I've decided to use some cubed raw butternut squash and some zucchini. And that's probably more like 3 cups, to be honest. I meant to do 2, and then I just kept going. 2 to 3 cups. 4 cloves of minced garlic. And I'm going to do a ½ teaspoon each. Heaping dried oregano and dried thyme. It already smells like tomato soup in here. Go ahead and throw in those crushed fauxmatoes. This is 1.25 pounds. 20 ounces. And to this I'm going to add 6 cups of vegetable broth of your choice. I have a video where I show you how I make mine. I will link to it below. You can also use bone broth or chicken stock, really anything. Any kind of stock or broth you have. Put that heat on high. I'm going to bring that to a boil. I'm also going to put another teaspoon of salt in here. We'll probably need to salt it at the end, but I know it's going to need at least that much. So now basically, we're going to loosely cover it, leave an inch, lower the heat, and just simmer it for 15 minutes. Now we're going to add, if you're using raw shredded plantain, you'd add it in this step. But if you're using like the little beans or the little pasta shapes we made, then you'd add those later. You don't want them to overcook and fall apart. Anyway, you're going to need a total of 3 cups of rice or beans or pasta or whatever. I'm going to put my 1 cup of plantain rice in right now. And I'm also going to put 2 cups of greens, any greens of your choice. You can use spinach, you can use kale, escarole, anything. This is actually shredded bok choy because that's what I had, so it's not traditional, but it's fine. I mean, they all pretty much taste the same when they get in a soup anyway. So, and then we're just gonna keep simmering on low heat for another 15 minutes. Get that rice cooked. All right, that's getting nice and thick. So I found a bag of dehydrated dandelion green stems. I tossed some in there too. So just a little more extra greens in there. That plantain rice is, you can still see bits in here and there. If you look, like that's plantain. But it's also like kind of melting into the soup and just making it really nice and thick. Now I want to add my cup of beans. I'm excited to see how they look in the soup. Yeah, they look like beans, don't they? Look at that little bean. And then a cup of the plantain of pasta shapes. So a total of 3 cups of starch of your choice. Now that we're done with all the heavy cooking, I want to add in 2 teaspoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And most Italian minestrone will have some like crushed red pepper flakes or a little bit of heat. So you can go ahead and add some wasabi powder now if you would like. I think I will. I have about ½ tablespoon left in here. I'll just use it all. And right around now you'd want to taste it and see if it needs any extra salt. This little bean is so cute. It tastes so much like tomato. Actually, no, I put enough salt in there. Ooh. The bean's a little soft. You know what? If I had to do it again, instead of half and half on the white sweet potato and the green plantain, I'd go 3/4 green plantain, 1/4 white sweet potato. Let's try the little pasta piece. It's perfect. I'd use green plantain for the pasta. It is perfect. Pasta winning bean. It's good, it's just a little soft. It turns into like a little blob of mashed potato when you chew it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, a little more plantain, a little less sweet potato. Very tomatoey. And you would think it had pasta in it. I think we're done here. So that's how you make minestrone with beans, rice, and or pasta with a tomatoey base on AIP. This was inspired by one of my viewers. I can't remember who posted it. It was a while back, but they had mentioned that they missed eating minestrone, you know, when the cool weather came. And I thought, you know, you don't have to live without minestrone. You just have to make it a little different. So here you go. If you want to see more behind the scenes stuff, or if you want to support the channel and sign up for more recipes, you can find me on Patreon. I do a monthly exclusive recipe tutorial and some more behind the scenes stuff for my patrons, so I'll put a link to that below. Let me know how you like your minestrone. I have a feeling you're going to really love it. I hope to see you soon. Until then, be healthy.